Hi guys, my name is Raquel. I am the executive director here at Learn Reading Easy. And if you know, then you've been able to see that we've had an opportunity to interview some amazing children book authors, a part of our Explore the Journey of Reading series. I'm super excited today to introduce to you guys two amazing authors, Denise and Jasmine, as they share their new book that they are launching. And I'm just so excited just for you guys to learn about their journey, the purpose of their book, and how important representation is for students of all ethnicities, but for sure African American students. So I would like to introduce Denise and Jasmine.
Hey, everybody. Yes, I'm Jasmine Ledger. I've been in education for a long time, and I'm going to wait till you ask the questions, Raquel, but I'm just super, super excited to be here with you and to share the inspiration behind the book.
Nice.
Yes. And hi, I'm Denise Heiliger, and I am a mom of two beautiful young people. I'm a wife, I'm an educator, and as well, I'm super excited to just come on and share our journey with this children's book and what we're doing and what we will be doing. So, just super excited to be here.
All right. So what's really amazing that I find is that a lot of times, collaboration is such a big deal, right?
Mhm.
And because you two have both collaborated on this book, I would like to know what perspective did you have, Jasmine, coming from the education sector, as well as you, Denise, being a mom? How did you guys come together to create this amazing book together? Because I also know with collaboration, you have different ideas, you come together. So take us how your background in like your field and your journey has helped you create your book today.
Well, my background is in physical education, so I'm really about mental and moving your body and making sure the mind is right. So when me and Denise came together, we have already worked on an affirmation page, and we felt like we also wanted to target our younger generation as well. So when we got together, we said, you know what, it would be good for our kids to start affirming as well. It starts when you're young and start believing in yourself. And I think Denise more so, I'll let her say her part, but when she introduced physical fitness in her class through Mommy Nation, she always worked out with them. And so we just collaborated there where we had the same vision where it comes to mental health matters for our little kids starting at a young age.
I mean, I think both of us too, like we're into like the physical fitness, right?
Sure.
And like we walk every evening and
Yes.
we're like talking and just really trying to like better ourselves
Yes.
physically. And we want the same for our kids, and not just that physically fit, but starting from the inside,
Yes.
affirming yourself, like Jasmine said. Parents have to start with this at home. It can't necessarily just be like when they go to school. So from just a small child, even from in the womb, you're already saying you're beautiful,
Yes.
you're amazing. And little kids can even before they can read it, they can repeat those things that you're telling them. So I think that like that just kind of sparked like that interest for us, just making sure us as moms or as parents are well, and we want to make sure our kids are well mentally and physically also.
Yeah, I think that's so important because here with our nonprofit, we focus a lot on reading literacy, but also the social, emotional learning aspect for the students. And I do
Mhm.
think what really made me want to reach out to you guys was because a lot of times you don't really see affirmation books for kids. You really see
Mhm.
them more for adults. In fact, you don't really understand the meaning of like affirming things for your life and for yourself until you're an
Yes.
adult. So I do believe that as a kid, it's so important for them to affirm within themselves first, especially because a lot of times just naturally, I'm a parent also, and a lot of times we can kind of get really caught up in when like giving praise to our students when, oh, you look really good today. So, oh, you're so handsome, or they got a
Mhm.
good grade today. Like, oh, I'm so proud of you. But really teaching our kids how to have that affirmation within themselves to where they don't need that approval from the outside world. I think
Yes.
your
That's
book
right.
is going to do such a great job with like helping students be able to be their own cheerleader. And
Yes.
I think that that's so important. I really like how you guys have it laid out to where it can kind of be a part of like almost like a daily routine type of situation for like a parent and their kid. So knowing that idea that you have for the ideal reader, what would you say to the mom who's kind of like struggling, or even the dad that's struggling to figure out like how to give their kid that pick me up? What do you recommend for them when it comes to like your book, and then also just your vision of what you want that takeaway to be like?
Well, I think when, like, if we're thinking, like, what can we tell our parents? First of all, when you just pick up the book, first, there's a section, in each section, I should say, it starts with like a beautiful image, um, and an image that looks like their kids,
Yes.
and it has a bold statement there. So just first starting with that. There are activities, which that's a part that I feel like kind of sets our book a little bit different, because it's giving them like simple activities that they can do, because maybe the parent doesn't know what to do with them, like we were saying, or what to say, right?
Yes.
And so they can read it with them. And I think it opens up discussion between the parent and the child, because sometimes, again, we don't really know how to, like, what to say or how to say it. So it opens up that communication with them. And then the child is able to then write and express how they feel. And if they're not that good at that writing stage, they're able to draw how they feel. So it kind of builds like that connection between the parent and the child, and kind of gives them like that space, like, okay, this is how I can help you. Okay, now go. And they can, work on it and do it.
Because and I'm just going to piggyback off what Denise was saying, it's very interactive. So if I see that the statement says I am bold, and the interactive activity, my kid is writing something as if I don't feel well enough, that's my chance to lead as a parent and say, you know what can I do to change that mindset? I see what you're writing. I see what we've been saying these few days. How can we boost that up? Do we need to wake up every morning affirming? And these pages are so strong that every time you read an affirmation, you need your kid to look in the mirror and say, I believe it. I
Yeah.
feel it, and that's why we really wrote the book. We want you to feel it. We want to make change, because these kids in the school system, they don't believe in themselves. I don't know if it's the music, I don't know if it's their peers, but we're going to start from the young age to say, no, we're attacking all of that. We're stopping that. You're going to start believing in yourself, no matter if you don't, you don't feel it like it right now,
Right.
but after you read this book, you will.
Mhm.
So I taught my daughter, for example, I said, well, what if somebody say they don't like your shirt? What do you say? She said, well, I like my shirt. And I said, that's right. You
Right.
look in that mirror and you say you like what you have on, and that you believe that I look good today, and you do look good today. And we go from there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like our vision.
Yeah.
So just motivate these kids and make them affirm that, you know what? I don't care what you say. I know I can do it. I know I can make it.
Yeah.
And I think it's so nice because with the idea of affirming, and then how you guys are like laying out your book and taking parents and students through that journey when it comes to just knowing who you are, I really do think ideally you guys are launching your book at such an important time, not only just with like education, with it being where kids really need that extra confidence boost, because it's true, like you said, like they don't have a lot of confidence. They are a little hard on themselves. They are growing up in a world where they're comparing themselves to their peers, or what they see or what they hear. So I do believe starting so young is very important. But I also think it's like what we're in March, so soon we'll be coming up to spring break and summer break. And I do believe that that's such a crucial time where parents are able to really dive deep with their kids. And I think how you guys are coming out with the book, and it's coming out right in time for the break, it's going to be a really nice, like, transition for parents to really kind of like tap in with their kids and get to know their kids. With you creating this affirmation book, do you guys see other future products that you would like to do to expand on that journey of affirmation and students knowing who they are?
Yes. So we're already like working on one that is almost done, and it's more for like teens.
Yes.
Because the teens, they're facing peer pressure, they're facing like identity, self-worth, financial situations, or they're already thinking about the future. Things with their family dynamics. So we have one in the works for our teens as well,
Yes.
because like I work with the kids at church, and like they talk to me and they relate with me, and like listening to stuff that they were saying, and I'm like, you know what, you guys need one too.
I got one for you too.
Exactly. So
And that's what helped us target the ideas.
yes.
You know, relationships, financial literacy, peer pressure. That helps us build just by hearing what other people are talking about. And I'm also a high school teacher, and based off what me and my students spoke about, I'm like, Denise, you know what? Let's target these things. Let's help these kids work through it by writing on these pages and saying, you know what? This is how I feel, but here's another activity because we're going to change your mindset to make you feel like you can get through this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I really like that aspect of you guys targeting the teens in your next series too, because I do believe that I don't know, I always have like this theory with me coming from the classroom. I used to be a teacher
Hmm.
for like 6 years. And
Hmm.
it wasn't until I got out of, I'm still in education, but it wasn't until I got out the classroom to where I realized the journey that students go through with reading, to where almost like when they become a teen, if they don't really like reading, it's almost like that leisure reading disappears. And
Hmm.
what tends to happen too is I think it's really hard for teens to find books that they can relate to. So the fact that you guys are creating like an affirmation book for teens, but it also makes them kind of have that time to themselves to think on like their journey of what they're feeling. I think it's so nice because in a sense, I look at your book in a sense as like it's a book, but like a mini journal in a sense.
Yes. Yes. That's
And
exactly
yeah,
what it is.
and I think that's so nice. I think that's so nice because a lot of times, just even now, I think our kids are struggling with how to express themselves. I think, years and years ago, a lot of times as kids, you were kind of like forced to kind of hold things in, and then you had some households,
Right.
yeah, some households,
Listen, you are so right. Listen, I'm from that generation where you were supposed to be seen and not heard. That's
hurt.
right. Okay. Yep. You just sit over there and look cute and quiet. And I just want our kids to be able to feel comfortable in themselves and who they are. And at whatever age group it is, whether it's teens, whether it's the younger kids, and to just believe like I'm worthy. I am, I'm strong, I'm powerful. I can do all things. Anything that I set out to do, I can do it well. Right. I know, like one of our things in there that I love, it says, I know who I am and I know whose I am. Like that they just need to believe those things. So
Yeah,
yeah.
with that idea of them just really knowing who they are is so important. And I think your journey as authors is really going to evolve like over time because I do
We're
think
excited.
yeah,
We're really
yeah.
excited.
Yeah, I think it's gonna evolve more and more over time because you'll realize that there's so much of a need. And one thing that I love to recommend to like children book authors and just authors in general that we speak with is I love when you guys can kind of like step out and like I want to say like put in the work where you guys are like going into like those schools or
Yes.
working with like nonprofits like us or just having those platforms to where you guys can just share your book and that journey because you just really never know like who your book like can really help, and I think once you target just that one person or that one kid, I do believe that it transcends over to more and more people because it's one of those things where it's like you just never know how your book can really help. And I do believe that your book is such a pivotal thing that students need right now, even the younger kids and even the older kids. So I do think that that's so nice with your book. I
Yeah.
want to ask
Thank
you
you.
guys both questions. You're welcome. So the question is, what? So because you guys are focusing on affirmation in your book, right? So in your book, you talk about just different, I want to say like character traits that we should believe in within ourselves, whether it's like we should be proud, we should be bold, we should be confident, those things. What affirmation hits home for you the most? So, like Jasmine, what affirmation in your book you feel like when I wrote this, I needed this and I want a kid to know this, or I want a kid to know this. And the same thing for you, Denise. What affirmation I feel like you hold on to that you want other students to really hound in on a lot?
I know this is simple, and I know for me, this is one that I say with my daughter all the time. And again, I know it's very simple, but I am strong. And when I say I'm strong, I'm talking about physically, mentally. And the reason why I like that one and it stands out, and like again, I say it's basic, is because when I talk to my daughter and I'm talking about her affirming, I want her to know that mentally it starts there. Physically, working on yourself, the things that we eat, the things how we move, it starts from there. So to me, when we wrote out that statement and we added those activities, we wanted these kids to know that, you know what, regardless of what you go through, you're strong. You can make it. It doesn't matter what other people say, it's what you believe. And so that statement to me stands out
That's
the
beautiful.
most. Yeah.
Yeah. And she is definitely strong. That little girl right there. Yes.
Yes.
But I guess for me, I would say the I am powerful, that whole section. There's a part in there, like an activity where it says like, what's your superpower?
Mhm.
And I think they can kind of relate, especially the younger kids, with certain, let's say like superheroes or something like that. And yes, those superheroes are fictional, but you kind of have that same quality. Like you have your own superpower, whether it's the fact that you are an amazing artist, you are a great gymnast, you are an awesome football player, you can, I don't know, you can do a handstand for 10 seconds, whatever it is. So to me, that's like your power, your superpower. So that is the like section for me that stands out the most. That find your inner like power. What is that? And as parents, they should kind of like nourish that and encourage that and help them to like build that. And at the same time, the kids are like, oh, okay, I know I can do this. So I think that part is like the best part for me.
And even though the book is interactive, and let's say a parent reads it with their child, it's something that you can go back to and say, you know what, let me see how you feel now. Let me see how it has evolved and how you have evolved as a person as we've been reading it. Because I want you to truly believe that what we read before has
It's
really worked.
right,
Yes.
right.
So let's read it again because maybe you
Yeah,
want to change what you said last time and said, you know what, Mom, I didn't feel powerful, but right now I
yeah.
feel powerful and I can do it.
Yeah.
So it's a book where I feel like every year, as they go through these years, that the parents can keep pushing because their mindset is going to constantly change if we believe in our kids. It's starting from there.
Right. And I think that was like my next question to ask you guys. With traditional books, especially when it comes to like children books, certain children books you can kind of like read it all in one day. Certain children books you might have to kind of like chop it up depending on like your students like age. And I think as parents, going back to that idea of them trying to balance like that time of work life as well as trying to implement like routines in their own home. Because a lot of times parents do want routines. A lot of times they don't have the resources on like how to start routines. But because your book is an affirmation book and it has like these activities in it, what would be the ideal experience for the parent that wants to integrate your book into like their household? Like, do you recommend them reading like an affirmation once a week, or do you think it's something that they can kind of read through the book and they're answering each day, or do you think it should be like a 30-day thing, or how would you take the ideal parent who maybe is working like a 9 to 5, but she still wants to embed these important aspects into her student's life? How would you guys recommend your book to be used in their home?
Oh, that's a good question.
Very good question.
I think each section has about 5 affirmations, and then it has like 2 activities at the beginning and 2 at the end. So let's say they wanted to do 1 a week or maybe 2 a week. Actually, I probably would start off with 1 that you could just really focus on. And that's something that they're repeating every single day. Maybe before they go to school, as you're letting them out the car, and before they go to bed when they're doing their prayers or whatever, that could be a part of it as well. And then they can choose an activity that week, because maybe it's not every day that they can do it because they have soccer practice, and then mom needs to cook dinner or whatever it is. But while she's doing that or he's doing that, they could say, okay, go work on that activity. So this might be something that they're doing once a week, twice a week. As far as the activities, but the actual saying of the affirmations, that can be daily. But I would keep with it like every single day for that week, just so that they can like remember it. They're saying it in their sleep. Yeah, they start believing it, and it's like kind of gets ingrained in them. So It doesn't have to be something they're taking on all at once. Now, the kids might want to because they're going to get
Right.
excited, right?
Yes.
But you're like, okay, we're going to do one
That's our
page,
plans.
one
Yeah.
affirmation for right now, and then we'll move on to something else. And again, like Jasmine says, they can always go back to it because at that time, maybe they really like this particular one and they want to stick with that for 2 weeks. You know what? They might start to guide where they want to go with it, especially some of the older elementary kids. Like the younger ones, you may have to give them more guidance, but the older ones might just run away with it. When I say older ones, older elementary.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And when we think about affirming, and let's say a parent doesn't know, this is a good guide. I'm helping my kid say these affirmations. I'm helping them believe it. When they do the activities, like we said before, it kind of guides. So I guess it goes from a house to house basis, is whatever time that parent has. So if I just have that 5 to 10 minutes to communicate with my kid, because maybe I had 2 jobs, I can read the page and have times of dialogue with my kid and say, you know what? Okay, I see how you feel, and let's talk about it a little bit. All right, and have a good night's rest and go from there. It gives them time to just really connect with their kid, to really see how they're feeling, and for their kid to say, you know what, mom, this is how I've been feeling all along. Because sometimes we really don't know how our kids feel if
Right.
we truly don't have a conversation with them. So just saying something, I am powerful, I am strong, I can make it, I can do it. I believe in myself, and those strong statements right there. And then your child turns around and says, "Mom, I really don't think I can make it." Right there, I'm saying, no, 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 no. We
Yeah.
about to change that mindset right now. And so I feel like if you have that 5, 10 minutes, or maybe you have that hour, it depends on every parent's, kind of household situation, but it's definitely something that you can keep on going. This book, we want it to keep going. Every year, we want these kids to be affirming and believing in themselves.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And I think just the easiness of your book, I definitely think is going to be very impactful for all households, honestly. And I think that's what's always nice. I think the children books that we come across to where it incorporates either like activities or like questions for the kids, or whether it's songs or music or whatever, I
Yeah.
do believe that those tend to stick with kids a lot more. It's no different than back in the days where they had like the Hungry Little Caterpillar or like Rainbow Bridge. Those books stick because Rainbow,
Yes.
it just had like little rainbow scales, but
Yes. Hmm.
you
I
remember
think my
that.
daughter has that caterpillar book that we're talking
Yes,
about. That has
yes,
evolved. And yes,
right. And like
yes.
the Hungry Little Caterpillar, you just see like the caterpillar eating as it go. But I do believe those books that are very like simple, but it has like a greater message is definitely always impactful for students, especially in literacy. And I do think with your book, focusing a lot on just affirmation, I do believe that it hounds in a lot to students' performance in literacy. So even with your book, where although it may not necessarily be like a grand like story as far as like problem and solution, I do believe that your aspect of creating an affirmation book is so important to how students just perform in literacy, because they do need to know that they can do hard things. They do need to
Yes. Right.
know that they are like capable to do their best. They do need to know that they're smart. They do need to know that, it's okay to be different, or to be bold, or believe in what you truly believe in. So I do think all of those things are just so important when it comes to that grand idea of just performing better in literacy. And here at our nonprofit, that's such a big thing for us. It's just making sure students not only have the resources to perform well in reading, but also the social emotional, wellness of believing that they can do hard things. And honestly, I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that your book is going to allow students to really be able to feel empowered and
Yes.
encouraged. And also, I do believe that it may even become a safety net for parents who are just trying to figure out where to start with their kids. So I really appreciate you guys creating such a wholesome product.
Thank
I'm
you.
really excited. Before we wrap up this interview, I wanted to ask, what is something that you would like to mention to parents in regards to um maybe how they view affirmations based off of how your perspective of affirmation is. So, a lot of times I think we tend to get affirmations and manifesting like tied up between each other when it comes to the adult world. I feel like when it comes to the adult world, we might like start being like, I will become a millionaire, and then manifest that I am a millionaire. Like I think we do
Yes, we
get really
do.
caught up in like putting
Yeah.
the two together when your book is truly a definition of what an affirmation is, really instilling what you want for yourself. So what would you tell to that parent who's going to start teaching your kid about affirmations and what affirmation is? What would you tell them an affirmation is?
Yes, for me, affirmation is really just like a way to help build confidence in your child. Um, because sometimes it's hard out here. It's going to get hard. Like they need to know that. And they probably see you sometimes go through hard times as a parent. You know, we try to shield them from some of that, but there are some tough times. And even through those tough times, we want them to know that like that inner confidence is going to help them to move and navigate through those situations. And I think that's where the affirmations come in. It's building that confidence. It's letting them know that even though I'm going to go through little roller coasters in life, that I have the ability to get through that. And part of that starts from within us, not anybody else, not mommy telling you, not the world telling you, because the world might beat you down a little bit. But you have to look inside yourself as well and have that confidence to do the things to make you successful or to make you happy in life. And ultimately, that's what we want for our children.
So I'm going to piggyback off of what Denise said because that was actually wonderful. So I'm going to put a period on that. But it's just building and believing in yourself. Like she said, just having that confidence. And when that parent, sits there and has that communication with themselves, we want to know that these kids really truly believe in what they see on the page and believe that when they step out into the world that they can do it. And it starts from there, just slowly changing the mindset.
Yeah.
Slowly change. We can manifest, but we're gonna start within ourselves and say, you know what, I can do it. Whatever I put my mind to is gonna happen.
I think that was so perfect. I think that amazing. Say we're gonna slowly manifest, but we're gonna start with our mind first. I think
Yes.
that is so important. I think that's so important. So I just want to say thank you guys for
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Oh, thank
Raquel.
you.
Yes. And all that you're doing. Like this, the whole thing with literacy, like I think sometimes people don't realize like literacy is very important to do all the other things you want to be able to do. Like, yes, some kids might, or even adults might not be into reading, but that literacy piece takes you into math, it takes you into finances, it takes you into all of those other areas of your life. So, just starting with this and the things that you're doing with literacy, like we appreciate
No,
that.
for sure. No, you're doing good work.
Yes.
And thank you for inviting us. I'm so excited. And listen, it was amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you guys for volunteering your time. We appreciate everything you guys are doing here at Learn Reading Easy Hub, and we look forward to collaborating with you too in the near future.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.